Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Keep them safe from injury and harm, instill in them respect.
And welcome to Farmingdale State College. Dylan Butler, Jared Veluzzi here with you. It is an elimination game here in the NSCHSAA playoffs. And it features the Cougars of St. John the Baptist against the Friars of St. Anthony's. Winner advances, Jared, and the loser, their season comes to a close. So a lot on the line certainly here tonight. And should be an interesting one as well. St. John the Baptist, Jared, they've already had an elimination game. They beat Holy Trinity after losing their first playoff game. So they've been in this losers bracket, if you will, trying to get out of that. If they win today, the winner of this game takes on St. Dom's, and then the winner of that game will reach the finals against Chaminade. So there's still a lot of baseball to be played for the team. Two could get out of this, but listen, the job is simple, right? Win one game, survive in advance. And that's what these two teams are trying to do here tonight.
Yeah, 1,000%. And, it's win or go home. And, that's, the beauty of the playoffs. Every single player on this field is going to give it their all. And, St. Anthony's and St. John's, two excellent programs in this amazing league. And for St. John's, they already got their step one of the gauntlet. And, now they're going against the defending champs with St. Anthony's. So it should be a good one today, and I'm expecting this environment to be a lot of fun, just like we had previously.
Hey, let's start with those Cougars, and you can see their bullpen there and the dugout we showed you a moment ago. It's been an up-and-down season for this team. Listen, it's so hard, right? Like, injuries play a part, obviously, right? But this is a team that lost their top two pitchers before the season even started. you had Marco Pipia, a senior who's bound for Iona, and junior Aiden Casey, who was outstanding as a sophomore. Both guys never threw a pitch this season. So that puts added pressure on your other pitchers, right? So you got a Brady Lightman, who you see here warming up in the bullpen. He wasn't supposed to be the main starter, right? But he's got to be the guy now. And then Jaden Nappy, and it's a trickle-down effect. But pitching-wise, they've managed that situation. And then at the plate, they're doing what good teams do in the postseason, right? They manufacture things. It's small ball for these Cougars in the postseason. So we're seeing a lot more bunting. We're seeing a lot of squeeze bunting. We're seeing hit and runs. Just any way they can find a way to get runners across, and that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, for St. John's, it really has been the next up mentality, next man up. And, the Cougars have responded well to that early adversity. I mean, what you were saying, losing two of your top pitchers before the season starts, I meing, already kind of behind the eight ball a little bit, but they responded, very well. A lot of guys doing their thing on the mound. And when it comes to scoring runs, doing exactly what they have to, and really battling with, a lot of these teams that have incredible pitching staffs and that are really, really good defensively. But the Cougars, man, they've been finding ways to score. And, of course, they're going to have to do that here today against the Friars. And
they've already battled in an elimination game and won, right? So they've got that also going for them. As we take a look at two players to watch for St. John the Baptist. And you see on the left, it's Keegan McElliott, the Binghamton commit. The junior leads things off. And then you want a little bit of pop in your lineup, you head to the 3-hole with Jacob Schmutz.
Yeah, I mean, we'll start off with McElliott here. Even though he's just a junior, he is a leader on this team. And he is, really important, going to get things started off, with the leadoff spot. And Jacob Schmutz, of course, pivotal in that 3-hole Sacred Heart commit. He's, been excellent offensively, 3 home runs, and the average speaks for itself. Also great with runners in scoring position.
Yeah, nice to have a couple of D1 guys to lead the way for the Cougars, and that's what you have with those two guys. As we take a look at St. Anthony's now, as you mentioned, right, Jared, defending champions, right? And they came into the season returning 7 of 9 starters. So the expectations were high, right? The aspirations were high. It was like, let's go out and really have a great regular season, and that didn't necessarily materialize, at least the way that they expected it to be, which speaks to the parity of this league, of course, but it also speaks to St. Anthony's maybe underperforming to what they expected, largely because the bats didn't perform, right? A lot of runners left on base, but with the weather getting warmer and the season winding down, they have found their bats of late. Now, it wasn't the case yesterday. Tough loss, 1-0 to Jack Durso and Kellenberg, but they will look to rebound today with a team that's got a lot of experience, especially in a lot of big games.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. 7 of 9 starters from a team that, won the championship, last year in 2024. And, offensively, starting to pick it up a little bit with, ending the regular season on that 3-game winning streak. But what St. Anthony's really does well is, defensively. They lead the league in ERA, so the Friars have really been, all over the defensive side of the field making plays.
Let's take a look at 2 of the players that they will rely on here today. For the Friars, it is your leadoff man, Anthony Carlo, the Cortland commit. He was the MVP last year. He is the MVP again for this team this year. And out of the 2-hole, CJ Alfano, the West Virginia commit, was the playoff MVP a year ago. So a lot of big game experience for CJ Alfano.
Yeah, Alfano, he is no stranger to, these big moments when, you're playing at Farmingdale or Hofstra, the lights are on, the moment is big. Alfano is used to it. The West Virginia commit has really picked things up as of late. And, Carlo, another reliable leadoff hitter, and he has just been excellent on the high school baseball scene. And he's going to do great things at Cortland, but it's going to be a good one here today.
What's interesting for Alfano is he's a guy, he's picked up his hitting of late. And guess what? So too has the rest of the team. You see them lined up defensively. Let's take a look at the defensive alignment for the Friars as we get set to go in this elimination game. Your outfield is Demetrio, Carlo, and Bono. In the infield, it's Carr at third, Munoz at short, Tavares at second, and Alfano at first. And it is the Vacariello battery. It is Jackson behind the plate and his brother Jacob on the mound. And we haven't really seen Jacob Vacariello as a starting pitcher, but as we show him warming up now on the mound, he's been that guy to come out of the pen. The numbers, Jared, they jump off the page at you. Just ridiculous stats for Jacob Vacariello. Look at these numbers. In 17 innings pitched, 25 strikeouts, just 2 walks, a whip of 0.39. 1-1 in the season, 1 save, 1.19 ERA. He's a guy who's coming at you, throwing strikes with some pop.
Yeah, I mean, an absolute electric arm on this kid. And, you know, the stats really speak for themselves. And, hey, an elimination game, they're giving him the nod today against, you know, a good St. John's team. No surprise. So what an amazing matchup we have here at that.
And let's take a look at the starting lineup for St. John the Baptist and who the Cougars will bring to the plate. It starts off with their shortstop, Keegan McElliott. And then it's Lucas Chrisman, Jacob Schmutz, Michael Garcia, CJ Everett, Gino Malone, Jack Afanita, and then Kyle Cahill. And batting as the pitcher will be Brady Lightman as well. And as we said before, it's McElliott to get things started for St. John the Baptist. Cougars head coach, it is a family affair for St. John the Baptist. Their head coach is Ryan Dalton. He's in his 3rd season and 2015 graduate of St. John the Baptist. He's got his dad, Ralph, as an assistant coach. A lot of experience, too. Michael Demarest, the pitching coach, Ronald McKay, and Travis Quarini as well. But Ryan Dalton said it is so special to have Dad with him. He was a bat boy when Dad was the coach. He was on the 2014 championship team that Ralph was the head coach of, and now they get to share that coaching experience together as McElliott fouls off that first pitch.
Yeah, what a story that is, though, you know, for head coach Ryan Dalton. You know, growing up, you know, being a Cougar fan and being, you know, the bat boy, you know, for St. John the Baptist and winning it. And now, you know, it's his team. So really special stuff there.
McElliott fouls that one off again, so it's 0-2. Binghamton commit 283 batting average on the season. He mentioned his leadership qualities. Of those 19 hits, 5 doubles, a couple of home runs as well. Here's Vacariello's 0-2. Outside, but you could hear the pop, right? And the glove.
Took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, you could really hear the sound effect of just how hard he is throwing.
Jacob Vacariello, the junior, he's a Stony Brook commit. When he's on the mound, he's a starting shortstop for this Friars team. 1-2, leaves it up high again, 2-2. And we'll see how that commitment, how that plays out, of course, with Sank no longer the head coach at Stony Brook. Will that change things? And really, Vacariello, as a relative pitching novice, just got into it. As here's a 2-2, leaves it outside. Just started pitching a year ago, right? So that no mileage on the arm, right? Live arm. But a great job by McElliott to get this count full. And then here is the 3-2. Popped up a mile high. Coming in to make the catch at second is Tavares for the first out.
Number 3, Lucas Crispin.
That was a battle right there to start off this game. Ended up going to a full count. McElliott was, really making Vacariello work, but Friars getting out. And, yeah, Dylan, it is interesting, with Vacariello actually, just starting pitching as a junior, so pretty fresh arm, and that's definitely has to be part of the reason with, how hard he throws.
Here's Lucas Crispin, the junior center fielder. And he battles right away. Swings at the first pitch, fouls it off. Quality junior season for Crispin, 360 batting average, 18 hits. Also a really solid defensive outfielder as well. Shows bunt, and this is what we said before. Vacariello will field it, but it's a bunt single by Crispin.
I mean, you want to lay down a bunt in, at your first at bat. I mean, that's a pretty darn good bunt right there. And he showed off the speed, able to, get that as a hit, and definitely not the first time he's done that this season.
This will bring up Jacob Schmutz. I'm not sure he's going to lay down a bunt.
I don't think so.
3 homers on the season for the Sacred Heart commit, batting .356. First pitch outside. Crispin is a threat to steal. He's 8 for 10 this season. And even from the press box here with windows mostly closed, he does go. What a great jump he got, too. And he steals second base.
Yeah, an incredible jump. I mean, once Crispin decided to go, he was off to the races there, and he was safe with plenty of time. And all of a sudden, Cougars got a runner in scoring position.
What I was going to say was you can hear from here the dugout, man. They are alive. That's St. John the Baptist dugout. Here's a 2-0. Fouled off left field side by Schmutz.
Yeah, and you're even able to tell in warm-ups with this St. John's team, just a lot of energy and a lot of excitement here for this playoff bout. And, yeah, the dugout definitely has been loud so far, and they're ready to go.
Schmutz is another one, too, who's got a lot of speed as well. So like that routine ground ball maybe, it becomes an adventure. As Vacariello a little wild early on. It's now a 3-1 count. Not the guy that you want to give a good hitter's count to.
Yeah, when you look up and down this lineup, this might be the last guy. As he definitely makes that argument at least.
He's a guy, too, sprays it to all parts of the field, does Schmutz. Here's the 3-1, leaves it high, and Schmutz is on via the walk.
The second baseman, number 26, Michael Garcia.
And already we'll have a conversation on the mound. Frank Trimarco, the pitching coach here for St. Anthony's. And listen, you and I have seen enough baseball to figure out this has got to be one of those, listen, let's just calm down, throw your pitches. You're a really good pitcher. Just throw. Don't think.
Yeah, I mean, Vacariello is an outstanding pitcher, outstanding athlete. And I definitely think it's one of those conversations where it's like, hey, we're all good.
Yeah.
It's, first inning, 1 out. I mean, hey, 2 runners might have got on, but a lot of baseball left.
Stepping to the plate for St. John the Baptist, it is the freshman second baseman, Michael Garcia. He is a guy made for these moments, right? You would think, right, a freshman new to the building, new to his team. He has some nerves, especially in an elimination game. No, not Michael Garcia. And that one a bit high.
And when you look at, like, you know, this lineup, and I mean, it really stands out when a freshman is, you know, batting cleanup, and you know, especially for a program like St. John's and in this league, and yeah, no nervousness whatsoever.
The runners go. The throw comes in the second, not in time. A double steal. Now the Cougars have 2 runners in scoring position.
And St. John's is challenging, man. And, you know, they're really utilizing their athleticism. So, yeah, give that, you know, another stolen base for the Cougars. They laid down a bunt earlier. Nothing super flashy hitting-wise, but now you have runners on second and third.
Listen, that's playoff baseball, Susan, right? Like, that's the
Defines
way. That's the way you win playoff games. So you've got runners at second and third, just one out. What a great spot here for Garcia. Corner infield in for the Friars. One, curveball outside. 2-1. Friars come into this game off that really heartbreaking 1-0 loss yesterday to Kellenberg. So it's an interesting dynamic there too, Jared, where you've got a team coming off a really tough loss. That one back up the middle, backhanded at second, throw to first. They'll get the out, but the run will score, and the Cougars take a 1-0 lead.
Now batting the third baseman, number 17, CJ Everett.
All started with a bunt.
Yeah, and Chrisman laid it down, got on base, and he'll make his way around. So 1-0 St. John's lead.
Yeah, on that ground out, Schmutz advanced to third as CJ Everett steps in. Sophomore playing third base. He has played second as well this season. That one fouled off. But I was going to say to you, it's an interesting dynamic because you've got a St. Anthony's team who comes in off a really tough loss just yesterday, right? St. John the Baptist, they've been sitting around waiting a little bit off of a big win over Holy Trinity, right? So it's sort of two different mentalities coming into this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, yeah, the Cougars are kind of just awaiting, you know, who are they going to play. And for the Friars, I mean, they went to war with Kellenberg. I mean, that was really a true pitcher's duel. A game that, you know, of course, went down to the wire. It's just Durso, you know, pitched a gem for Kellenberg, and, you know, that happens. He's going to the University of Miami for a reason. And yeah, now St. Anthony's and St. John's here in a winner go home.
Back rail is 1-2. It's a soft one, finds a hole, and that is an RBI single for Everett, and it's a 2-0 lead for the Cougars.
And we talk about, you know, St. John's playing small ball, but, you know, they're going to need some timely hits in order to beat St. Anthony's. They get one there. And, yeah, how about C.J. Everett, just a sophomore, coming up clutch here in the first inning, being able to, you know, help the Cougars get out to a 2-0 lead.
And now Everett goes as well. This one, though, is in time. Vacariello, a great throw to second for the caught stealing to end this half of the inning. But St. John the Baptist, they get 2 runs on 2 hits. And they've got a 2-0 lead hanging into the bottom of the first here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Varsity Media is now opening up our schedule to any team looking to be on a sportscast. Watching yourself on camera is okay, but hearing your name on a Varsity Media Sportscast is like you're a pro.
And look at this opportunity. Feldman behind. Jersey pulled. Feldman! Feldman!
Loose ball, Keyshawn White has it. He's just going to let it fly. Oh! Keyshawn White from half court. That is cash. What a way to end the third quarter.
Look at this. Merrill. No slide. No problem. Gary Merrill goes top corner.
Varsity Media offers sports coverage for any sport, and our coverage airs live and on demand so everyone can watch the game. Now is the time to be a star on Varsity Media. Contact us to book a sportscast today at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Back at Farmingdale State College, Dylan Butler, Jared Veluzzi. We head to the bottom of the first. Let's check out the defensive alignment for the Cougars. Left to right in the outfield, Schmutz, Chrisman, Cullinan. Your infield of Everett, McElligott, Garcia, and Cahill. Behind the plate, the sophomore Jack Afanita. And on the hill, it's Brady Lightman. We mentioned him before. Lightman wasn't expected to be the ace, right, of this staff before the start of the season, but he has done an excellent job this year for the Cougars. You see his numbers on the year, 2-3, a 3.13 ERA. And again, another guy who throws a lot more, strikes out a lot more than he walks, which is you want with a guy in that position. We take a look at the St. Anthony's starting lineup. It's Carlo Alfano, Mazzola, Bono, Tavares, Carr, Jackson Vacariello, Demetrio, and Munoz. First pitch fouled. There's a good amount of room in foul territory for these outfielders to chase the ball down. That's Anthony Carlo. We mentioned him before, the Cortland commit. 382 batting average on the season, 21 hits. Great table setter for these Friars. 0-1 up high.
Yeah, Carlos really set the tone, throughout his varsity career. And, he was great last year in, the championship run for the Friars. He was excellent. So, no, definitely a guy, they're going to be leaning on.
We didn't mention the Friars head coach. That's Paul Parcelano. And he describes Anthony Carlo as the perfect high school baseball player, right? Like that's such a cool compliment. Carlo is a guy, too, so tough, right? Separated his shoulder this year, has had to go to physical therapy to work on that. And now a full count for him. So both leadoff batters have worked the count full. This one is popped up high in the air. Losing his lid is the shortstop McElligott, but he makes the catch for the first out.
To the first baseman, number 24, CJ Alfano.
So let's bring up Alfano. We mentioned it before. What a great 1-2 punch for the Friars. You go Carlo, Alfano, and it's Alfano's recent stretch of hitting that's allowed him to move up further in the lineup. Was buried a bit deeper. I think it was like the 6th hole for much of the season when he struggled to hit. And think about it too, right? He's a junior. He's committed to West Virginia, and he kind of carried a lot of that weight on his shoulders this year. But he's been playing a lot better of late, playing freer, and then the proof is what we've seen from him at the plate.
Yeah, it's all about playing loose, and once Alfano is really able to do that, he's shown that he's without a doubt one of the top hitters in this league, and it's definitely been on display towards the end of the regular season, and carrying it into the playoffs, of course, is going to be crucial.
2-1 count for Alfano. Leaves that one up high from Lightman. Lightman's a guy who just started pitching a year ago. Went up against every other team's ace. Right, so went 2-3 while doing that and kept these Cougars in a lot of games. This one fouled towards that St. John the Baptist dugout. Lightman throws a fastball, a curveball, changeup, a two-seamer. But he keeps batters off balance a lot. That one is grounded to short. McElligott shows that arm of his to make out number 2.
Designated hitter, number 28, Phil Mazzola.
Yeah, the Binghamton commit makes a big-time play there from short. And, I mean, you know, we were really praising those first 2 hitters for St. Anthony's, rightfully so, because Carlo and Alfano are terrific players. So to be able to get through, you know, those first 2 guys and not have anyone on base is, you know, definitely get a, you know, good start for St. John's.
And this brings up Mr. Consistent, Phil Mazzola. He's been on varsity for 4 years. He's played in every league game. He's been in the 3-hole for 3 years, right? He's hit 300 for 3 years, and he gets the first hit for St. Anthony's. A 2-out single to left.
Yeah, you said it, consistent, right? And, yeah, he's able to, you know, get a base hit there. But, I mean, such an underrated stat there, you know, hitting 300 for 3 years is, you know, big accomplishment and really a testament to, you know, what Mazzola brings as a baseball player.
Off-speed pitch in the dirt. Good back up there by Afanita, the sophomore. As Bono, the senior, batting just below 300. Curveball in there for a strike. And Bono's another guy. We mentioned a lot of starters back, right? And that's the same case with Bono. He's been in this cleanup hole for the past 2 years. Throw back to first. Mazzola slides back in safely. But Bono, of his 17 hits, 5 doubles, a home run, 15 RBIs, goes up the middle and through for a base hit. So back-to-back singles. 2-out singles for St. Anthony's.
The second baseman, number 18.
And the top of the lineup. You know, at first, you know, Carlo and Alfano getting out. It's like, you know, all right, St. John's potentially getting out of this inning. Mr. Consistent, you know, Phil Mazzola gets a big hit. And now all of a sudden the Friars, you know, Mazzola's in scoring position, 2 runners on. Of course, there is still 2 outs, but we'll see what Tavares has.
Adrian Tavares, the senior, how about 345 batting average on the season for the second baseman? And we continue with the same storyline. He's been the 5-hitter for the last 2 years as well. So you don't pencil him in. You put him in marker, in permanent marker. Nice curveball there by Lightman in for a strike.
Yeah, pretty loaded class of 25 when you think about it, you know, with Carlo, Mazzola, and, you know, now you have Tavares as well. Just veterans, which can definitely help you out here in May.
It helped lead the Friars to their 5th championship. The first one in 24 years last spring. And there it is again, right? That's the Lightman specialty right there. He's not going to overpower you with his fastball, but his off-speed stuff is really tough.
Yeah, he's been doing that all year, and, you know, that's part of the reason why he's had, you know, success, especially when he goes against other teams' aces.
1-2, fouled down the right field line. Still some spectators making their way in, so hope they were aware of that ball flying towards them. And it's good, too, because you have to return the ball, so you could just pay your admissions fee and bring the ball back. Or maybe you barter there. You said, listen, I got a ball here. So you want it back? I should get in, right?
Yeah, so take it or else I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm taking this ball and going home. I'll watch it on the Varsity Media Sports Network. Here's the 1-2. And that is up high. 2-2. And Tavares, when he's at his best, he doesn't bite on those high fastballs or even those high curveballs. So the count is full.
Yeah, he's staying patient, and, you know, this year he has been pretty steady is, what the coaches described him as. And, part of it definitely has to be, patience and, having good takes.
Here's a 3-2. Curveball in there. Called strike 3. Well, Lightman battled. He got his first 2 outs. Next 2 guys come on. But there it is. He's got Tavares looking to get out of the inning. So the Friars get no runs on 2 hits, 2 left on, and at the end of one, St. John the Baptist with a 2-0 lead here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Hey parents, Varsity Media is now offering ISO video of just your athlete. Why settle for the wide angle that shows every player on the field? With our ISO video, your athlete is front and center the entire game. This footage will help in creating highlight videos for college coaches to better pinpoint your athlete's play on the field. Watching our video will help your athlete improve progressively throughout the season and may lead to a college scholarship. Varsity Media is now booking ISO videos for the spring, but spots are limited. Contact us today for lacrosse, baseball, softball, and tennis by calling 516-403-2050 or emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Back at Farmingdale State College. Dylan Butler, Jared Veluzzi, our entire Varsity Media crew. We head to the second inning. St. John the Baptist leading St. Anthony's in this elimination game in the NSCHSAA baseball playoffs. Leading off for the Cougars, it's Gino Malone, the DH. And he swings at strike 1 by Vacariello.
Yeah, some heat to start things off this inning. Vacariello pounds it in there.
Swings at the second pitch, fouls it off. So Vacariello has an 0-2 count against Malone, the junior designated hitter, batting .250 on the season, 14 hits, got a double and a home run, 6 RBIs. Here's the 0-2. That's up high. We mentioned it before. Parcelano and his coaching staff spoke with Vacariello about the possibility of pitching, and that conversation happened last winter. So here's a 1-2. Inside corner, called strike 3.
Catcher, number 23.
And that was great placement right there from Vacariello. And, that he's the type of pitcher, when he could get into, that rhythm, it becomes so dangerous.
So we were saying, right? So they hooked him up with Bobby DeMichael, did a pitching program, and just learned how to pitch. He could throw the ball, but it's about the mechanics and situations, and has done a really good job on the mound. 1-1 the count to the catcher. Afanita, the sophomore. He's a guy batting .236, but he's got pop. He's got his 1 home run, by the way, and it's one that you'll put, certainly if you're him, on your highlight reel, probably the first highlight you show. It's the grand slam against Durso, right, from Gellenberg, who's going to Miami.
Yeah, to do that as a sophomore, a big hit against that Miami commit, it's pretty unreal. Definitely something he's going to remember for a pretty long time.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think when you get on the huddle, right, that's got to be right there in the very beginning of your highlights.
Yeah, clip it up, make sure to have, the caption, verse.
Yeah. Show where Durso's going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And the thing, too, you got 2 more years of him behind the plate as well. Really solid defensive catcher as well for the Cougars. Here's the 1-2. Thought about it. They want to check if he went. He didn't.
You know, pretty great get for St. John's because he's a transfer in, and then you also look like Michael Garcia is a freshman. So, 2 guys that, you didn't really know if you were going to have or what kind of impact. And then all of a sudden, Afanito's been tremendous. And, of course, Michael Garcia has done his thing as a freshman. Just 2 guys making immediate impacts, which is always so valuable.
Another batter who works the count full. Here is the 3-2. Gets him caught looking as well. And it's interesting, too, because Jared, Baptist was so aggressive at the plate in the first inning, and now back-to-back batters looking at a called strike 3.
Yeah, it was interesting there. I mean, I wonder if, they were trying to, challenge him to find the zone, but Vaccarello's done that, and he does it there on the first pitch. And it'll be interesting to see if St. John's does go back to, that aggressive mentality, especially, we're a couple batters away from the top of the order where, Miguel Elliott, Chrisman, Schmutz, a lot of great athletes. Wouldn't be surprised maybe if they do get on base, maybe they try to steal again,
This is Kyle Cahill, a guy that we know well from multiple seasons, right? Part of the St. John the Baptist offensive line, really, really good lineman for the football team in the fall.
Yeah, I was going to say he's a beast in the trenches.
Yeah, and at first base at 6'5", a really good defensive first baseman. Good eye there for Cahill, the senior, 2-1. I don't know the situation, so maybe it's just taking the extra base, but I love the fact that Cahill's 2 for 2 on stolen bases this year.
Dylan, I was actually just about to say the same thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what happened, but hey, man.
Get
I
yours.
can tell you, the big man can move.
2-2 count. And that one is low. So another full count here. So if anything, the Cougars are doing a good job making Vaccarello work and getting his pitch count up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been a couple full counts now, at least, to say the least.
Here we go, 3-2, 2 outs. That one singled up the middle. So just like St. Anthony's did in the bottom of the first, it's a 2-out single for Kyle Cahill.
Number 15, Brady Lightman.
That's a big hit for Cahill, I mean, he's more so known for his defensive ability, but he's saying, hey, I could also, put the bat to the ball, make some plays. He ends up getting a base hit here with 2 outs.
Will he go for stolen base number 3?
If he goes 3 for 3, right in front of us, oh, man, I think this place would be really excited.
Well, his bench was pumped for the base hit, no doubt. When you talk about the energy in the dugout, Vaccarello does a check. Just misses high. It's a 1-1 count. Lightman, the Utica commit. It's interesting, too. You don't normally, a lot of time you don't see the pitcher, although I should say you did see Durso bat for himself yesterday as well, but the decision made for Lightman to bat for himself here. Here's the 1-1. That's in there for strike 2. And we're seeing a more confident Vaccarello. I think certainly some nerve, some energy in that first inning. Got Trimarco came out, talked to him, and I think even that extra getting in the dugout, and I think that helped him greatly.
Yeah, he's been much better finding the zone in this one. In this inning. And, to show for it, he has 2 strikeouts. But right now, 2-2 count. and we'll see if he gets his third.
Checks over his shoulder at Cahill at first. 2-2, fouled off. We do it again. This is game number 2 of a playoff doubleheader. We had Chaminade rallying as another pitch fouled off to beat their rival, Kellenberg, to be the first team to book their spot into Championship Monday at Hofstra. Another 2-2 offering. Inside, ball 3. So Cahill will not get a stolen base because we know that he'll be going on this full count.
I was going to say, I mean, through 2 innings, we've had a lot of full counts so far. And, you know, Vaccarello definitely having to work, and, you know, St. John's batters, you know, showing, you know, a mix of aggressiveness and patience.
And that is ball 4. And not what you want to do if you are St. Anthony's, because as you mentioned, right, this is the bottom of your lineup. So you get 2 quick strikeouts, and then a single up the middle, and then a walk, and now it's the top of the order.
I was going to say, how about it? I mean, listen, Cahill hasn't been the hottest batter as of late, but he gets a big single, and now, you know, your pitcher ends up walking, which is huge. So now 2 runners on, top of the lineup. You know, you get your Binghamton commit, McElliott, one of the leaders of this squad, up in a position where, you know, he could potentially make some noise here.
He's a guy, too, not that he's necessarily looking at long balls right now, but he has hit a few home runs the last couple of weeks. Also has a knack for that extra base hit to start games. Takes a look at strike 1. 283 batting average on the season. 19 hits, 16 RBIs. Nice curveball in there for a strike.
Yeah, good start for Vaccarello here. You know, count 0-2. And after what, you know, was looking like, hey, maybe this might be, you know, a routine inning, maybe 3 up, 3 down, 2 runners on, but Vaccarello gets ahead here.
There's 0-2, leaves it up high. It was interesting. I was wondering, at least in my head, I didn't mention it out loud until now, but I was wondering at 0-2, with so many pitches that he has thrown, if he wouldn't just attack McElliott there, but he did opt to leave it up. But I think he comes after him here. I don't think you want to go 2-2 and then worry about a 3-2.
Yeah, and I could see him, you know, throwing some heat here. Or, you know, maybe an off-speed pitch as well. And, no, I definitely like what you were saying with, you know, going after him here. Can't really risk falling behind the count or, you know, giving McElliott a shot here.
1-2, fouled off. And already some action in the St. Anthony's bullpen. We showed you the numbers at the start of the year. Vaccarello not throwing a lot this year. All right, only 17 innings pitched. A guy who's used to coming out of the bullpen. And listen, it's a different mentality, right, than being able to finesse things as a starter.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, of course, it is a little bit different. And, you know, I like how they gave him the nod today, but let's, you know, let's see what happens here in the rest of this inning.
Big pitch here, 2-2. In there, called strike 3. 3 strikeouts, all looking. And a big one there for Vacariello as the Cougars get no runs on one hit. They leave 2 on. We get to the bottom of the second. St. John the Baptist with a 2-0 lead on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
When it comes to live streaming, Varsity Media does it all. Athletic events, concerts, musicals, graduations, even weddings. Trust Varsity Media when it comes to your live stream event. Contact us today to learn more about Varsity Media's live streaming services at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Back here at Farmingdale State College, we head to the bottom of the second in this elimination game in the NSCHSAA baseball playoffs. Leading off for the Friars, Mike Carr, the junior third baseman. And Lightman gets strike 1. Carr batting .226 on the season. He brings that blue collar mentality. Swing and a miss. He introduced himself to the varsity last year with a couple of early home runs. I'm like, all right, you're good. We're going to keep you up here now.
Yeah, I feel like a good amount of these, St. Anthony's players, they were like, hey, we want you on varsity as a sophomore, making, a serious impact. I mean, Mazzola was up as a freshman. And, so a lot of these guys got some, pretty quality experience early. Carr, just a junior, but he was there last year, and now he's really doing his thing this season from the number 6 spot.
And you saw there from that angle that we have Affinito wanting another look at the pitch selection. Here's the 1-2. Just misses outside. 2-2. Carr also a tremendous defensive third baseman. A little excuse me check. And we'll see it in the next half inning and beyond. As here is a 2-2 to Carr. Just misses there. It's the full count. But Carr's a guy, they play him in like the 5-6 hole because he's got that ability, and which is rare in a reactionary position that third base is, to be able to range 5 steps to either side of his body. As he pops that one high in the air, Cahill calls off the second baseman, Garcia, to make the catch.
The catcher, number 25, Jackson Vacariello.
So it's now Jackson Vacariello. When his brother plays short, he is in the batting order, but this was a situation where the St. Anthony's coaches wanted Jacob to just concentrate on pitching, as Jackson Vacariello. What a story he is, huh? Like, was a bullpen catcher last year, didn't really play, and then suddenly there were a couple positions that were open, so I said, hey, DH, left field, maybe we'll put him behind the plate, but Phil Mazzola was there. But Phil was like, it's okay. we'll alternate. It's no problem. Mazzola was the catcher yesterday against Kellenberg. But there was the decision here today, you know, of course, with Jacob, who will he be more comfortable with than pitching to his brother? So you have Jackson behind the dish today, and Mazzola more than happy with just being the DH.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge. Like, Mazzola, he was, you know, the catcher the last 3 years. And, you know, to be able to say, hey, you know, we'll rotate, it'll be good, especially when you have that brother-to-brother connection on the mound and the catcher, that always helps. And, yeah, definitely a team-first atmosphere at St. Anthony's, which really helps them. And, you know, there's a reason why this senior class has, you know, done so well. And, you know, they have a championship under their belt for a reason.
Left fielder, number 5.
And Jackson Vacariella does a great job of working out that walk. They'll have a courtesy runner for him. And that'll be Luke Czechmayan. Czechmayan, by the way, 10 stolen bases on the season. So to the plate, it's Brady Demetrio. Swings at strike one. Cool story, too, for Demetrio, right? Where, you know, back in the day, Paul Parcelano, before he was the head coach here at St. Anthony's, was the coach at St. Joe's in Patchogue, right? So the Demetrio's travel coach, Elliot Robles, played for him at St. Joe's. So he kept saying, listen, Demetrio, man, this guy needs to hit. As there goes Czechmayan, and he will steal second base. But he said, Demetrio is clutch, man. You got to get this guy some playing time. He didn't play much last year. Was kind of the fourth string catcher. But again, it was a situation. Left field, that was open. Can you catch the ball out there? Yes, you can. Can you hit? All right. So Robles was right.
Yeah, I mean, you got to love those type of connections right there. And, you know, yeah, Demetrio's been outstanding for the Friars. And, you know, he's going to be playing at St. Joseph. You know, he's going to get used to this field, you know, when Farmingdale becomes his conference rival. And, yeah, you know, he's definitely been excellent for St. Anthony's this year. And really has been, you know, one of their most productive outfielders, kind of like what you were saying.
2-2 count. Healthy lead by Czechmayan, a little bit too much for Lightman's liking. As he swung around to force him back to the bag. Two. Garcia backhands it at second. He makes the throw to first. Czechmayan advances to third on the ground out.
The shortstop, number 2, Christian Bucknell.
So Munoz steps up for St. Anthony's, the senior, bound for Catholic University. What a great spot for Christian Munoz, the senior. He's got a runner at third with 2 outs. Will join older brother Mike at Catholic University. Takes strike one.
Yeah, Catholic up in D.C. And they're getting a great ball player within Munoz, and huge opportunity here for, you know, St. Anthony's potentially get, you know, their first run of the game. And especially, you know, last inning they left 2 runners on, and you know, crucial spot for St. Anthony's here at the bottom of the lineup to potentially get one.
And that's been a bit of that story we mentioned, right? Of the season this year is leaving so many runners on. I think Parcelano described it as an ocean of runners throughout the season that have been left stranded out there.
Yeah, it's definitely been tough, and, you know, especially in the playoffs, can't really afford, you know, for that to happen. You know, timely hits win ball games.
And runs are at a premium. He grounds it to second. Garcia picks it up there, throws to Cahill for the out. So St. Anthony's, they get no runs on no hits, no errors, and they do leave another runner on. That's 3 runners stranded through 2 innings. As we head to the third, it is St. John the Baptist the 2-0 lead here in the Varsity Media Sports Network.
This is Jalen Brunson. You're watching Varsity Media.
Varsity Media is now opening up our schedule to any team looking to be on a sportscast. Watching yourself on camera is okay, but hearing your name on a Varsity Media sportscast is like you're a pro.
And look at this opportunity. Feldman behind. Jersey pulled. Feldman! Feldman!
The loose ball, Keyshawn White has it. He's just going to let it fly. Oh! Keyshawn White from half court. That is cash! What a way to end the third quarter.
Look at this. Merrill. No slide. No problem. Gary Merrill goes top corner.
Varsity Media offers sports coverage for any sport, and our coverage airs live and on demand so everyone can watch the game. Now is the time to be a star on Varsity Media. Contact us to book a sportscast today at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Back at Farmingdale State College, Dylan Butler, Jared Veluzzi, our entire Varsity Media crew here. We head to the third inning. And St. John the Baptist with a 2-0 lead in this elimination game. Winner advances to play St. Dom's tomorrow. The loser, their season is over. Good look there at Jacob Vacariello as he steps in. It is 2-3-4 for SJB, and it is Chrisman to lead off. It was Chrisman's at bat where he had a bunt single up the third base line, stole second base, and eventually came around to score the first of the Cougars' 2 runs.
Yeah, stole second, was able to get moving and get over to third base as well. And, yeah, that definitely started things off pretty hot for St. John's. You know, after, McElliott was out on that first at bat, Crispin decided, hey, it's time for me to make a play. I've, laid down bunts like this all season, really set the tone, and, was able to get on base. Cougs ended up getting 2 runs.
That was a swing and a miss. They'll have to throw it to first because it went in the dirt, but it is strike 3.
Jacob Schmutz.
And the last 4 outs now via the strikeout. 3 were looking in the in the second, and the first one is swinging. That'll bring up Jacob Schmutz. Takes a look at strike 1. Schmutz followed Chrisman in that first inning. He walked, and he stole second as well.
Yeah, it's nice when your reliable hitters are also, excellent on the base path. Schmutz, I think we mentioned it before, 18 stolen bases on 20 attempts coming into this game, of course. So, he's only adding to it.
By the way, his walk was only the 3rd all season for Vacariello. He came in with only 2 walks, and he's actually got 2 today, which is wild to think. But again, it's a different situation that he's in today. Usually out of the bullpen, looking to either close out a game or get a big out in a big situation. And here comes the 1-2 to Schmutz. His brother Jackson tries to paint that outside corner, unable to. As we take a look into the St. Anthony's bullpen, that's Mike Clare, number 22, warming up. The question was, Claire was one of those guys who was in contention for the start today. As that one is fouled off, and he's definitely that guy, or one of those guys, Lucas Miller, another one of those guys who will extend the game, right? They're not a closer, and they're not a relief. I mean, they've been starting pitchers all year. So if the pitch count is getting up, and if you're concerned about Vacariello, Claire is a great option to bring out of the bullpen. But Vacariello's like, I'm not done yet. Another strikeout swinging.
Yeah, I was going to say, Claire, he's, had a good season, has 4 wins, but right now, Vacariello taking care of business. Let's take another look at this one, and beautiful pitch there. Another strikeout swinging, and, great start to this third inning here. 2 Ks to begin.
Here comes Garcia to the plate. It was his ground out to second that drove in Chrisman for the first run of this game. It was his 18th RBI of the season. And I love, even for a game like this, I mean, listen, there's seats to be had here. But again, you got that crew behind the scoreboard, up on the hill, watching a ball game. Outside for ball 2.
Yeah, the environment's awesome. I mean, Farmingdale, first off, amazing baseball complex. Love this press box that we're in. And it's, a lot of fans have just been enjoying both games that we've had here today on Varsity Media. And the hill's a great spot, and, the weather's perfect for it today.
That one finds its way through. And again, Garcia looked like he was handcuffed there, but still fought through it to get a 2-out single.
Yeah, how about it for the freshman? Able to find a way to make contact on that one, send it into the outfield. And he makes a big play, 2-out hit there for St. John the Baptist.
Garcia, a perfect 6 for 6 as well in stolen bases. But I don't know if, the Cougars have been very aggressive, but I thought in that first inning, maybe a little bit too aggressive. You don't want to get caught stealing to end an inning, especially one that you've got a couple of runs in already. As it's C.J. Everett, he had the RBI single to right to drive in Schmutz. Throw back to first in time. And C.J.'s a guy too. How about if you extend it now to the most recent at bat, right? So his last now 12 at bats, he's got 8 hits and 2 walks.
Yeah, you could say he's heating up. I mean, incredible numbers there for Everett, and huge hit in the first inning. I mean, we are where we are right now. Big factor was because of that Everett hit, giving St. John's a 2-0 lead, and here we go.
Another one. He is just raking right now.
The designated hitter, number 13, Gino Malone.
So Garcia goes to second, which brings up Gino Malone, and now a second mound visit. And I think this will be it for Vacariello, because it is Paul Parsolano on the visit, and you can see the St. Anthony's bench. And yeah, that'll do it for Vacariello. Gets a good applause from the crowd, but again, I think it's a situation where it's just it's a different spot for him, right? And it's hard. I think it's easier for a starting pitcher to come in as a reliever, in the playoffs. You can see it in MLB, right? And it's harder. It's harder to do the opposite.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, we definitely saw that. Vacariello definitely had his moments, though, today where he did look really good, especially actually earlier in this inning where, he had 2 strikeouts swinging. He was looking great. But Michael Garcia and C.J. Everett continued, their success as Everett, red hot as of late. Dylan, you said it, 8 for 12. Also, including 2 walks. He's he's really, really, found a rhythm, especially in this game with those 2 early hits.
And this brings in Mike Clare, junior, lefty, big, strong, thick, right? This is 6'3", 200. See the numbers on the season, really impressive from Clare.
Yeah, Clare has been awesome, over 30 innings pitched. He's got 38 strikeouts to just 19 walks. The hard-throwing lefty has been great for St. Anthony's, man. And, he was a reliever, then becoming a starter.
He's the guy who made that transition from reliever to starter, now coming in as a reliever, but with that starter mentality and that ability to pitch multiple innings. And I love, too, what Parcelano said about him. He said he's got a heavy bowling ball fastball, right? And he says he just smothers hitters as well. So we will see what we will get from Clare. Definitely a different look from the lefty. And you see, again, the numbers are really good for Clare. His first batter will be Gino Malone. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. Vacariello struck out the first 2 guys that he saw, and then back-to-back singles. And it's now Malone. Shows bunts. And bunts it foul.
And Gino almost, laying that one down. And, if that was in play, potential, maybe bases loaded situation for the Cougars. But really interesting spot that, Clare has to come into. 2 runners on here in the 3rd inning. Big, situation for a potential out here for St. Anthony's.
Lefty against lefty. That one is up high for a ball. I think the positive thing here, too, for Malone is, when you've got lefty-lefty, you maybe don't see the ball till a little bit later, and you're not dealing with any shadows or anything. We're approaching nightfall here at Farmingdale State College. So good conditions for a batter. This one gets through Vacariello, and both runners will advance on the wild pitch.
I can hear the St. John's bench absolutely loving it right now. And, that's the Cougars have really, really brought the energy today. And St. John's takes advantage of the wild pitch. So now you have a runner on 2nd and 3rd, 2-1 count. And, this at-bat is definitely going to be really important and talked about, once this one ends.
And if Malone could sneak one through the right side of the infield, 2 runs will likely score. Fouls this one off. 2-2 is the count. Yeah, even already, right? 3rd inning, this is a huge at-bat.
Yeah, enormous. And, the difference of a 2-0 lead or to a potential 4-0 lead is massive, as every run just means so much, really at a premium, especially with, these 2 teams in this type of playoff setting.
Here's Clare's 2-2. Strike 3, swinging. Huge spot for Clare, and you can see what it means to him and the Friars. As the Cougars, no runs on 2 hits. Bowling ball in your face. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left on. We head to the bottom of the 3rd. It is 2-0 for St. John the Baptist on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Back at Farmingdale State College, it is the NSCHSAA baseball playoffs. And the winner of this game gets one step closer. There's still a couple more steps to take, but one step closer to Championship Monday at Hofstra. We already know Chaminade will be there. Who will they play? We'll have that game. Games, plural, on Monday, a doubleheader on Memorial Day. Live from Hofstra on the Varsity Media Sports Network. It's a great day to spend your Memorial Day.
Oh yeah, I mean it is awesome, and especially the team that gets out of this really tough losers bracket. I mean you got your work cut out for you.
First pitch swung high in the air, and that is a base hit, and actually more. Aggressive base running leads to a leadoff double.
Number 24, CJ Alpine.
How about that from Carlo?
Yeah, big time from Carlo. And, we mentioned in the first inning, I was like, man, it was big for St. John's to, get both of those first two hitters down. Well, they weren't able to do it this time to start off the third. Big hit from Carlo. And you see that athleticism, that extra base potential, able to, get to second pretty easily. And now it puts, CJ Alfano in a really nice position here, the West Virginia commit, up to bat.
Yeah, it takes a look at strike one. Grounded out to short in his first at bat. He's batting .269 on the season, but you kind of look beyond that and think more about what he's done in these last couple of weeks back in the two-hole. Parcelano says, listen, he is the most talented player on this team, period, end of story. Big spot for him here. Leaves that pitch up high for a ball.
Yeah, Parcelano in his 7th season, he's had some excellent baseball players come through the St. Anthony's program. And, I'm sure Alfano is, up there with some of the very best, especially with what he's done in his career so far. And, he's only a junior.
This one grounded foul down the first base line. We're feeling a little bit of that wind here, and I went to check the flag in center field, and it's blowing in a little bit right now. Two high, good defense, as we said before, from catcher, Afanita, full count. What a spot for the West Virginia commit. And a final trying to get Lightman out of his rhythm.
He takes some time there, and huge payoff pitch coming up here. 0 outs with, Carlo already getting on second, and
Mazzola on deck.
Huge, yeah.
And this one outside, so Alfano works out a walk. So interesting that this dynamic to lead off the third, right? Because in the first, both guys were out. So you've got Mazzola coming out with 2 outs, and instead now you've got first and second, as we will have a mound visit here with Lightman.
And Dylan, you mentioned it, right? Carlo and Alfano to start the game were both out. Mazzola ended up getting a base hit, but, with 2 outs, St. Anthony's needed to string along a couple more plays. And, Bono had a hit, but ended up having a strikeout to end that first inning as Tavares went down looking. But now for the Friars, both of those top two guys with Carlo and Alfano, they get on base here. After Carlo with the double, Alfano walks. So now you have Mazzola in a golden, position to, potentially maybe bring a run home. And he's been a guy who has been a reliable hitter, to say the least.
He certainly has been, and he had the first hit of this game, that single to left in the first inning. And he has been Mr. Consistent, right? It doesn't matter who the pitcher is. Is he a flamethrower? Is he a junk ball pitcher? Is he a righty, a lefty? Mazzola, he hits them all. In a big, big spot from Mazzola, the senior DH. Ball one. And now the Friars crowd and bench getting loud. Everett playing in at third base. Cahill back at first. Middle infielders at double play depth. Strike called. There's a look at the flag. So kind of a swirling wind, right? We said before it was kind of blowing in, now it's blowing towards left field.
Yeah, I'm really feeling the wind.
Right?
Yeah, I'm really feeling it right now, and I'm sure, they're feeling it down there on the field.
I mean, if you want, you can close the window a little bit. It's up to you.
I'm kind of enjoying the breeze a little bit, but...
Say that now. Wait till we're in the sixth and it's cold. Fouled off. So it's a 2-2 pitch. And you drive here to Farmingdale, and it's a beautiful, it's like 70 degrees, like weather's perfect. You have the sunroof down.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was a little bit hot getting into my car.
might be going heated seats on the way home. Big pitch by Lightman here. And Alfano fouls it off. Excuse me, Mazzola fouls it off. Mazzola batting .316 on the season. That one in the dirt, and both runners will advance. So 2 Friars now in scoring position for Mazzola.
Enormous, and I mean, Dylan, 0 outs still. So, Mazzola gets a full count here. The wild pitch allows these runners to advance, and just like that, St. Anthony's in a pretty nice position.
So full count for Mazzola. He leaves it. Lightman kind of took an extra look, thought he might have painted that corner, but now the bases are loaded for Bono.
I mean, this is just how you draw it up, right? The first 3 guys get on. Now you have your cleanup hitter, Bono, in a position with the bases loaded, 0 outs for Alex Bono.
Has spent 2 years in this position, in the cleanup spot for the Friars. Bono batting .293 on the season. A called strike 1. Has legit power as a lefty hitter. Ooh, he was looking for the fence on that one.
Yeah.
0-2. That would have been home run number 2 on the year.
Would have been a grand slam, but just missed it. A good pitch there from Lightman.
And a quick conversation on the mound there. So an unenviable position for Lightman, but an enviable count for him. 0-2. This one is grounded to second. The flip over to short, throw to first, not in time, and that errant throw will allow a second runner to score, and we are all tied up.
And how about it, some heads-up base running as well. So, you know, ball on the carpet, able to get the guy at second, but with the throw going low at first, able to see that, and it was Alfano as the second run there. So Alfano and Carlo both crossing home plate.
This one popped up in the infield. McElliott with the catch there for the quick second out. So Mazzola reaches on the fielder's choice, but on the errant throw, Alfano scores. And that shows you just how important it is to get those first two guys on, especially when you're top of your order.
Yeah, with this type of lineup, you know, when Carlo and Alfano get on, you know, good things, of course, happen. You know, especially with, you know, Mazzola and Bono to follow. Definitely a really, really strong top four, and, you know, the rest of the lineup is great as well. But for St. John the Baptist, that was a big second out that they just got there. You know, a lot of momentum going the Friars' way. If they got another base runner, you know, they could have really been in even more business.
No throw as he'll take second. Bono will. So a 2-2 count. Curveball in there, gets Carr looking. A big strikeout, but the Friars do their part. First two get on, first two score as well. But Lightman makes sure there's no further damage. So the Friars get 2 runs on 1 hit and 1 left on. We head to the 4th. We are tied at 2 on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. When it comes to live streaming, Varsity Media does it all. Athletic events, concerts, musicals, graduations, even weddings. Trust Varsity Media when it comes to your live stream event. Contact us today to learn more about Varsity Media's live streaming services at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming schedules and content, and on social media at Varsity Media.
And we welcome you back to Farmingdale State College. It is the elimination game, or an elimination game, or an elimination game? My English is a little bit off here. It is an elimination game here in the NSCHSAA playoffs. And it is tied at 2 as we head to the 4th inning. Good rally there by the Friars in the bottom of the 3rd. And interesting too, right? Because both teams scored their runs in a single inning.
Yeah, both teams with huge innings. And it was, for St. John's, it was the opening frame, you know. The Cougars were able to be aggressive, stole some bases, ended up getting 2 runs. And for the Friars, it was the top of the lineup in the bottom of the 3rd. You know, being able to produce, and, you know, now 2-2 ball game.
Which brings up Jack Afanita. He has been on an end or a late season tear. Struck out looking in his first at bat in the second inning. There is action in the St. John the Baptist bullpen, so you wonder how much does Lightman have left. Here's Claire's 0-2, up high. Afanita chased, and the second strikeout for Claire.
Yeah, picking up right where he left off at the end of the third. He had a crucial out coming out of the bullpen, and that time you see the emotion on Claire. He is fired up after, you know, getting back-to-back strikeouts here fresh out of the pen.
Brings up Kyle Cahill, shows bunt. And Claire sends it towards his chin. Cahill singled up the middle, a 2-out single that looked like it would maybe be a rally starter in the second inning because Lightman followed up with a walk. But then McElliott ended that inning looking at a called strike 3.
It was big time, right? Because, you know, in that inning, Vaccarello started off with 2 strikeouts. Looked like he might strike out the side, but Cahill had a different idea in mind. Gets a big base hit. And, you know, 2 runners were on, but, you know, Vaccarello was able to hold his own and get out of that inning. But it was a big hit from Cahill in the number 8 spot, and we'll see what he can do here.
There's a look at the St. John the Baptist bullpen. 26, that's Michael Garcia. So maybe we'll see Garcia go from second base to pitching. Freshman recorded the save against Holy Trinity in the last playoff game. And Claire, after getting ahead early, walks Cahill.
The pitcher, number 15.
That Kyle Cahill starts off with a hit. Now he walks. Good start for the big fella. And now Lightman back up to bat, the senior.
As you mentioned a moment ago, Lightman walked. That pitch up high. And Lightman is I think it's a you know, we talk about baseball stats or like metrics and all kinds of stuff, right? But I think he's a great case study in, you know, listen, he's batting 139. He has 5 hits, but he has 4 RBIs, right? Like it's not so much about the quantity, but the quality.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been some, you know, big moments where he's been able to produce.
Gets one up in the air, but Carlo, whoa, it drops. You mentioned that wind a moment ago. And I don't know if it's the combination of the wind or the lights. Carlos seemed to have a jump on it, and then it just dropped.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he had it. We'll take another peep at it here. And, yeah, honestly, probably a combination of, you know, losing it in the lights, but also that wind because, you know, I've been feeling that all evening. And, you know, the wind, the lights, and, you know, falling in a, you know, advantageous spot as well. Definitely helping St. John's out. So once again, though, it's the bottom of the lineup for the Cougars. We were talking about it earlier with Cahill and Lightman both getting on base, and they do it again for a second time here in the top of the 4th.
This brings up McElliott now, the junior shortstop. Showed bunt. Strike 1. He's 0 for 2. Popped up to second in the first inning and was caught looking at strike 3 in the second. The Binghamton commit has been on varsity since a freshman, and kind of since his freshman year, he's been a leader as well. Even then, seniors kind of looked up to him or saw that potential. And look at this, lays one down the third base side, throw to first, not in time. Huge spot for McElliott.
Man, Dylan, how about the wheels on McElliott? He decides to lay one down, and he blazed. Take a look at this one.
And listen, Carr's got a gun there. And maybe like if he, and I think everyone was kind of caught off guard there. If Carr was able to attack it a little bit quicker, maybe he gets the out there, but bases loaded with one out for the Cougars, and it's Chrisman up, who, like McElliott just before, had a bunt base hit in his first at-bat before striking out in the third. Huge spot for the junior. Batting .360 on the season. Leaves this one high, 1-1. .13 RBIs on the season for Chrisman. Corner infield in for the Friars. And that pitch is low. If you are Claire, you have nowhere to put Chrisman.
Yeah, both teams have done a great job of, getting runners on base throughout this contest. And, some runs to show for it on each side, but huge opportunity here.
2-1, nice. Off-speed stuff there. It's now 2-2.
Yeah, we saw that, the bowling ball type of fastball earlier, from Claire, but he also shows that he can mix in the off-speed. And now, enormous pitch, especially, going against a Lucas Chrisman, who is, of course, in the number 2 hole, great hitter for St. John the Baptist.
He could drive the ball. We saw his speed in that first inning as well when he legged out that bunt single. Here's a 2-2. Just a bit up high.
Got a little crowd reaction there after that one. Gotta love it, but hey, man, once again, a full count. Bases loaded, 2-2, top of the fourth. Here we go.
And the runners will be in motion. Here comes the payoff pitch. In there for a called strike 3. What a spot for Claire.
Incredible spot, incredible composure as well on the 3-2. And yeah, let's take another look at this one. Claire getting that inside big time, and once again, you see the excitement from twos, but still not out of this inning, and talk about a big challenge coming up.
Yeah, in Jacob Schmutz, the Sacred Heart commit, batting .359, fouls that first pitch off. Claire out of the bullpen with 3 strikeouts. Trying to get out of this jam. And he has an 0-2 count. So advantage Claire here against Schmutz, who walked and stole a base and scored in the first inning. Struck out swinging in the third. Here's Claire's 0-2. It's up high. Bases are loaded. 2 outs for the Cougars in a 2-2 ball game. That one up high as well. Now deuces are really wild.
Yeah, a lot of twos all over the board here.
Yeah. 2-2 count, 2 outs, 2-2 score. I think we're just missing twos at the batter.
I say you got twos pitching, so.
Oh, there we go. Here it comes. Ooh! A wild pitch, and the big backdrop means that Cahill can score. And St. John the Baptist on the wild pitch take the 3-2 lead. And Jared, every coach that we spoke to talked about this backdrop and how deep it is. And it's much deeper than a high school one, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
you've got that ability as soon as that's gone to move your runners up and score the run.
Yeah, a lot of room back there, and almost another one as it looked like it got away from Vaccarello for a second. He kept it in front of him. But regardless, that's a walk now, Dylan. So bases are loaded once again. And off that wild pitch, man, Kyle Cahill showing off the burners. And he was able to get that one to go. But, yeah, that's the walk right there. Is it hit the ground for a second, but Vaccarello kept it in front of him, avoiding, another wild pitch or pass ball to, allow the Cougars to extend the lead, but still got to get out of the inning here. 3-2, bases loaded, 2 outs.
Pitcher coach Frank Trimarco out to speak with Claire. St. John the Baptist goes back in front. And there comes Garcia, who had an RBI ground out in the first, and then looked like he was handcuffed in the third, but still managed to get a single. And that's all the Cougars want here, just something out of the infield. Well, he'll eat it instead, and the run will score. The last thing you want after a mound visit is to hit a batter.
Yeah, not the prettiest way to score, but the freshman Garcia will eat it. And after a couple seconds, he'll say, "Hey, I'm glad to take that base."
Yeah, he's not going to rub that.
Yeah, he'll be happy about that. It's a 4-2 lead for St. John's.
Now, Jared, you got a red-hot hitter in Everett. Swings at the first pitch, grounds at the third. Going to the base there was Carr for the force. And I think if you are St. Anthony's, you have a sigh of relief there because you had Everett coming up red hot. He grounds out the third to end the inning, but still, the Cougars plate 2. They get 2 runs on 2 hits. They leave 2 on. We head to the bottom of the 4th, and it is 4-2 St. John the Baptist on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports.
Varsity Media is now opening up our schedule to any team looking to be on a sportscast. Watching yourself on camera is okay, but hearing your name on a Varsity Media sportscast is like you're a pro.
And look at this opportunity. Feldman behind. Jersey pulled. Feldman! Feldman!
The loose ball, Keyshawn White has it. He's just going to let it fly. Oh! Keyshawn White from half court. That is cash. What a way to end the third quarter.
Look at this. Merrill. No slide. No problem. Gary Merrill goes top corner.
Varsity Media offers sports coverage for any sport, and our coverage airs live and on demand so everyone can watch the game. Now is the time to be a star on Varsity Media. Contact us to book a sportscast today at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Now back here at Farmingdale State College under the lights. 4-2 is the score for St. John the Baptist. As we talk about the deuces, how about all the scoring has been in deuces in the innings, right? It's 2-0 early for St. John the Baptist. St. Anthony's ties it at 2, and the Cougars now lead by 2 after that big top of the 4th inning. Jackson Vacariello, the catcher, stepping up. He walked in the 2nd. And then Czech Mayan as a courtesy runner stole 2nd. This one's popped up and foul. It looks like it will be out of play, and it is.
Yeah, but Dylan, to go back to what you were saying at the end of the inning, you know, especially for people like just joining us, for St. Anthony's, you know, they let up 2 runs, but big sigh of relief with, you know, the situation that they were in, because not only were the bases loaded at the end of that inning, but you had arguably the hottest hitter on the field within C.J. Everett, who has just had so much success. I mean, he could have really broke this one open and extended that lead, but the Friars were definitely ready for it, and, you know, Munoz made a good play there at third.
And Vacariello puts one up in the air, but making the catch in left was Schmutz for the first out.
The left fielder, number 5, Brady DiMatteo. Demetrio.
So Brady Demetrio steps up for the Friars. Grounded out to 2nd in his first at bat in the 2nd inning. That one up high. Check out that sky there out in center field. Beautiful evening here at Farmingdale State College. This is an infield fly. Chasing after it is McElliott to make the catch.
Shortstop, number 2.
And we're talking about that really nice sky. I mean, that ball almost got lost up there with that infield fly, but able to handle it was McElliott. And, you know, you definitely got to give a lot of credit to McElliott last inning, you know, being able to bunt to get on and, you know, helping St. John the Baptist get some runs.
And how about Lightman here, right? His guys get 2 runs for him, and he gets a 1-2-3 inning. Huge for St. John the Baptist, as it's no runs, no hits, no errors for the Friars. And he'll get the put out himself as well, right? Fielding his position well.
Yeah, he says I'm an athlete.
Yeah. Uses some of that frame, gets the 1-3 put out as we head to the 5th inning. St. John the Baptist leads 4-2 on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Hey parents, Varsity Media is now offering ISO video of just your athlete. Why settle for the wide angle that shows every player on the field? With our ISO video, your athlete is front and center the entire game. This footage will help in creating highlight videos for college coaches to better pinpoint your athlete's play on the field. Watching our video will help your athlete improve progressively throughout the season and may lead to a college scholarship. Varsity Media is now booking ISO videos for the spring, but spots are limited. Contact us today for lacrosse, baseball, softball, and tennis by calling 516-403-2050 or emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Back at Farmingdale State College, Dylan Butler, Jared Veluzzi, our entire Varsity Media crew. We head to the 5th inning. It is St. John the Baptist with a 4-2 lead. And if you are part of that crew at the mound right now, you would love a 1-2-3 inning just to keep the score as it is and let your offense, which has heated up late in the season to start the claw back.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Claire has shown, his ability to, mow down batters, whether it's throughout the season or here tonight.
And it is Malone at the plate, the designated hitter. Struck out in the second and the third inning. And Vacariello just making sure he's on the same page as Claire. And you could see by Claire's jersey there that wind picking up here at Farmerdale. And that's how it's deceptive, because I looked at his jersey and then I looked at the flag and it wasn't really, right?
Yeah, no, flag not moving too much, but the numbers are.
Here's the 2-0. That's up high. The last thing you want against an aggressive base running and bunting team is to walk the leadoff batter. And there is a cold strike one.
Yeah, he's able to put that in there. That's huge because, Dylan, you make such a good point. It's obviously not great to walk the leadoff guy, but we see what St. John's can do on the bases.
This one high in the air to center. Carlo is under this one, and this time he will make the catch for the out.
The catcher, number 23, John Affantina.
So Jack Affantina stepping up, the sophomore. And Jack takes a look at strike one. Interesting too, right? Because Dalton said if it was not for him, if it was not for Affanita, he's not sure where these Cougars would be this year.
Yeah, I mean, he's been huge. We talked about him transferring in, earlier in the broadcast, but such a big get for the Cougars. And also, he's been great all year, but especially towards the end of, the regular season where, he really not only found his footing, but got into a rhythm where it's like, wow, he can be, a dangerous hitter, but also turning into just an extremely, reliable catcher behind the plate. And to have that just as a sophomore, the coaching staff and Coach Dalton has to be like, man, we get him for 2 more years after this too. That's pretty sweet and, big for their program.
1-2 count. This one puts it in the air as well. And, ooh, little miscommunication there, it seemed like, between Demetrio and Carlo. And Carlo makes the catch.
Number 8, Kyle Cahill.
Yeah, back-to-back catches for Carlo here in this inning, being able to, make plays, track the ball, in these lights as, St. John's able to put it in play, but not getting past Carlo. And, here we are with Kyle Cahill back up to bat, a guy who's had a good game so far.
Similar situation as Cahill was in that second inning. Got a 2-out single up the middle. Also reached on a walk in the 4th and scored. Fastball outside.
Yeah, he reached off that wild pitch to help St. John's get a couple runs to extend the lead to 4-2.
And you have to imagine, having played in so many big football games, championship winning games, that just helps regardless of the sport, right? Like, he's got that mentality.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think, Cahill definitely has it. Me and you have seen, our fair share of big-time St. John the Baptist football games, but so many other, multi-sport athletes that, are on this field right now. Or, we talk about Chaminade Kellenberg where, you know, they had some of those athletes. But, you know, when you have playoff experience in any sport, it helps.
2-2. Good job protecting the plate there by Cahill. And he's another one too, right? Maybe he hasn't hit the way he had hoped. 6 hits on the season, but 7 RBIs. And again, good job battling at the plate.
Please remember to bring those foul balls in. Dugouts.
Two balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs here in the 5th. And Cahill continues to battle as Carr made a diving effort on that foul ball.
That's definitely been a theme throughout this game, really making, you know, the pitcher work. We've definitely had some, you know, longer at-bats in this one.
Yeah, Claire came in relief of Vacariello. This one grounded back up towards the middle, fielded there by Munoz at short, and he makes the play 6-3. So St. John the Baptist goes down in order. In the top of the 5th, we head to the bottom of the 5th. And the Friars looking to mount a comeback. They trail this one 4-2. Heading to the bottom of the 5th right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
When it comes to live streaming, Varsity Media does it all. Athletic events, concerts, musicals, graduations, even weddings. Trust Varsity Media when it comes to your live stream event. Contact us today to learn more about Varsity Media's live streaming services at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Back here at Farmingdale State College, we enter the bottom of the 5th inning. And I guess in a 7-inning game, you have a 5th inning stretch, right? And had that just now.
Yeah, I think it was. You know, I saw people, you know, standing up, kind of enjoying it for a second.
Well, it's also cold, so I think they were just standing up and trying to get warm there for a moment. And St. Anthony's hoping to get warm at the plate. Big inning here, you would think, for the Friars, right? Could you lead off with Carlo, who really ignited a rally there in the 3rd inning, whereas St. Anthony's turned a 2-0 deficit into a 2-2 tie. That was with a double to left center. This one got handcuffed. And the throw from Garcia to Cahill. And there's one out.
Number 24.
Yeah, big out for St. John's. Especially, you know, Carlo, he was coming off of, you know, some momentum, having a good inning defensively. You know, doing his thing out there in center field. And, you know, with, of course, leading off the inning with no one out, but St. John's getting a good stop.
You know, Lightman, after that trouble in the 3rd, has settled down. He's gotten 6 consecutive Friars out. And Alfano leaves that one high.
Yeah, Lightman's done a good job, and he's really been battling throughout this one. You know, you look at these innings, some of them have been on the easier side, right? We saw that 1-2-3 not too long ago. But then he's also been in some jams where it's like, you know, St. Anthony's, they have the bases loaded, and, you know, the Friars, they've, you know, had their fair share of runners on, but he's gotten out of some, and, you know, to the result is only 2 runs allowed, but here we are with a 4-pitch walk, though, so Alfano getting on base pretty easily. And, you know, now Mazzola up to bat with a runner on.
That's like one of those intentional, like,
yeah.
like, don't give this guy anything to hit. So Mazzola, big spot for him, and he's performed today at the plate. Had the first Friars hit, a single to left, and he walked in the third. Throw back to first. Alfano in time. A threat there to steal as well. 7 stolen bases on the season. Check back to first again. And clearly the Cougars concerned about Alfano over there.
Yeah, Alfano, he does have 7 stolen bases on the year. And obviously a tremendous athlete. You know, St. John's being a little cautious. Especially if, you know, if St. Anthony's kind of wants to get something going. If Alfano does steal, then all of a sudden, you know, runner in scoring position with one of their top hitters at the plate.
1-1, fouled off. Could be a good pitch here for Alfano, maybe, if he wants to swipe a bag. Inside for a ball. Much to the chagrin of the Cougars faithful.
Yeah, nearly painting, you know, that inside right there, but unable to get it to go. And then this one outside as well, so just like that, full count.
Here's the payoff. And ball 4. So Mazzola works out his 11th walk of the season.
The right fielder, number 15.
And that's now back
Alex Bono.
to back walks. And it's Alex Bono to step to the plate now.
Yeah, and, you know, that shows the threat that Alfano and, you know, Mazzola really present. As, you know, they're able to draw walks occasionally. They do it there, both back-to-back.
So now with 1 out, the potential tying run is at first. Go-ahead run at the plate. And we'll have a discussion with Afanita and, the Cougars. We don't have a pitch count for Lightman, but he has thrown, at least it feels like, a lot of pitches.
Yeah, I was definitely going to say that. It definitely feels like, you know, he's thrown a ton, you know, especially with how many long at-bats that, you know, he's had and how many times he's had to face, you know, these batters with, you know, St. Anthony's extending innings and everything, but he's doing a good job, and it looks like he's going to stay on the mound.
So we'll face Bono, who singled in the first. reached on an error in the third. Ball one. And Bono, it's funny, in right field, you know, when we spoke with Parcelano about his team, and he described Bono and his characteristics and said he wears every out, he takes it so hard. And I was like, kind of sounds like Paul O'Neill a little bit, right? Like out in right field, like look out for a water jug somewhere. But he wears that emotion. It's so important for him. 3-0 is the count. And ball four. You take a look. Double barrel action
The second baseman.
in the St. John the Baptist bullpen. And here comes Tavares to the plate. Swings the first pitch, pops it up to center, where Chrisman makes the play. It'll be a sacrifice fly. Alfano scores, and he pulls the Friars to within a run.
Yeah, second time Alfano crossing home plate. And yeah, sac fly from Tavares will get the job done. So St. Anthony's within one here. 2 outs, but, you know, huge at-bat for Mike Carr, who, you know, brings a lot of toughness to this lineup, and he's got a great opportunity here.
I mean, you get a runner across, but it came as a result of the out, right? Obviously with the sac fly, but considering how there are 3 straight walks, you would have thought maybe you take a few pitches, see if you can find the zone again.
Yeah, especially because I think the batter before, it might have been a 4-pitch walk. And, yeah, a little bit of trouble finding the zone, but, you know, sac fly, gets a run in, now huge at-bat.
Curveball just misses. So 2-1 the count. Now the tying run is at second. A big 2-out at bat for Carr. 0 for 2 on the day. And that pitch is in there for a strike. Big spot here for the junior third baseman. Leaves it high. My, oh my. Bases, or you got runners at first and second, full count, 2 outs, bottom of the 5th in a 1-run ball game. In an elimination game. This one popped up to right. Cullinan is there, and he makes the catch for a huge, huge out. Well, we haven't called his name all day, but makes maybe the biggest out of the day. Cullinan did.
Yeah, huge. A chance where St. Anthony's had the opportunity to tie or even potentially take the lead. Cullen, some big composure. Gets the out. St. John's, they give up a run, but the Cougars still up by 1.
This is Jalen Brunson. You're watching Varsity Media.
Varsity Media is now opening up our schedule to any team looking to be on a sportscast. Watching yourself on camera is okay, but hearing your name on a Varsity Media sportscast is like you're a pro.
And look at this opportunity. Feldman behind. Jersey pulled. Feldman! Feldman!
The loose ball, Keyshawn White has it. He's just going to let it fly. Oh! Keyshawn White from half court. That is cash. What a way to end the third quarter.
Look at this, Merrill. No slide, no problem. Gary Merrill goes top corner.
Varsity Media offers sports coverage for any sport, and our coverage airs live and on demand so everyone can watch the game. Now is the time to be a star on Varsity Media. Contact us to book a SPORTSCAST today at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
We head to the 6th inning. And St. John the Baptist with a 4-3 lead.
Pitch hitting for the St. John the Baptist Cougars.
As the
Number
Cougars
5, Aiden Casey.
with a pinch hitter. And Dalton said we might see Aiden Casey. We know he won't pitch. But Casey, he said we might see him as a pinch hitter. And again, you start the season, you're like in February or in January, you start to figure out your pieces. Casey was either a 1 or 2 pitcher, right? An outstanding junior season, but never threw a pitch this season. Was one of those 2 guys who has missed the entire season, and huge misses for the Cougars there. Marco Pipia, the Iona commit, the other.
Yeah, those are 2 huge losses for St. John's that, we've talked about throughout this broadcast, but it is good to see Casey out here at least hitting, especially in a huge game like this. Listen, he might not be able to impact, the game the way he would want to from the mound since he can't pitch, but he's looking to do it here in the batter's box.
So you're saying it's Casey at the plate?
I am.
Look at that. Works out a leadoff walk.
The shortstop.
And if you thought we saw some small ball from St. John the Baptist before, look out. And I don't even think, if McElliott lays down a bunt here, I don't even know if he's doing it necessarily to sacrifice. He's trying to get on himself. And you could see already Carr in on the corner at third, anticipating this. McElliott, though, not showing bunt, and he took strike 1. He did bunt to get on in the 4th. And that went outside.
Yeah, McElliott definitely has been crucial. And for St. John's, getting a runner on early in this inning, especially, pinch hitter. Now you go back to the top of the lineup.
And this went outside, 2-1. So Vacariello and Claire with a discussion on the mound. And you see more action in the St. Anthony's bullpen. John Parpis. Here's a 2-1. That's up high for a ball.
All right, so now hitters count for McElliott.
Throw back to first. And that's ball 4. So back-to-back walks to start this 6th inning.
The center fielder, number 3.
And again, if
Lucas
you are St. Anthony's, you are playing with fire here as you approach Christman and Schmutz, Garcia and Everett.
Yeah, those are definitely 4 of the guys. Of course, I mean, you're in the heart of the lineup for St. John's, but really been productive throughout the season, or, you know, C.J. Everett, especially as of late, if we know we get down to him at the 5 spot.
And everybody now expecting a bunt here. Pitch up high, throw back to second, in time! Vacariello! They get Casey off of second.
Man, what an unreal play right there. Look at the arm on Vacariello. I mean, perfect spot for, you know, his fielder to make a play, and a huge out for the Friars, especially getting the runner in scoring position and sending him back to the dugout.
Yeah, think about how close you were there if you were St. John the Baptist, right? You lay a bunt down, you move both runners over, you've got second and third, right, with 1 out. And instead, the complexion changes dramatically. And that one is fouled down the third base line. And it's all because of Vacariello's gun there behind the plate.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have second and third with Schmutz up to bat, and, you know, that's just such an ideal position if you're the Cougars. But, I mean, you got to give credit where credit's due to Vacariello making an incredible throw and throwing out that runner.
Inside, Claire still struggling to locate. He was fine last inning. Retired the side in order. Claire in relief of Jacob Vacariello. Here's a 3-1. Runner goes, doesn't matter, ball 4.
The left fielder, number 10, Jacob Schmutz.
So 3 walks to start the 6th. And now we'll have another conversation on the mound. Schmutz will be the batter. Schmutz has already walked twice in this game. In the 1st and the 4th, he stole second in the 1st and also scored.
He's been very patient, along with the rest of the St. John's hitters, man. Especially this inning, you know, they've noticed, you know, some struggles to find the zone. Only 2 runners on now. There were, of course, 3 before the runner at second got caught out earlier, but all 3 via the walk.
This one fouled back to the netting. And again, this part of the loser's bracket of a double elimination tournament to reach the finals, which will be a best of 3 series at Hofstra. St. John the Baptist lost their first game of the postseason. Then they defeated Holy Trinity, and now they are leading St. Anthony's, the defending champions, in the top of the 6th. This one grounded to second, could be 2. Flipped to short, to first, not in time. So it'll go 4-6 on the fielder's choice. You got runners in the corners now with 2 outs.
Number 26.
Yeah, and nearly a double play to end the inning, but great little shovel throw, just not quite in time. I mean, Jacob Schmutz, definitely one of the best athletes on this St. John's team. And Coach Dalton says, Schmutz, he's always hustling. And, I mean, regardless if you're trying to get someone out at second, he's always just tough to get out on his own when he puts the ball in play.
And Parcelano will go to the mounds. Said before, in his 7th season as the head coach, a 1986 graduate of SCHSAA. That was back when it was just one SCHSAA. And they have 2 SCHSAAs.
They would love if it's one now. I mean,
oh my goodness!
I think the football team would be pretty good, honestly.
I'm not sure the rest of Long Island would be ready for that, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, it'd be loaded, especially this past year. My goodness.
as you said, Parcelano coaching at St. Joe's for 5 years before coming to St. Anthony's. Has continued this great tradition with the Friars as well. As we said, defending champions, the 5th in the program's history, first since the year 2000.
Yeah, I was actually just going to bring that up, before Parcelano came, and even honestly early in his tenure, the Friars, they haven't won in a while. And I mean, this league is so competitive with so many programs that can win it. It was a little bit challenging, but they finally get over the hump, and we're able to bring it home in 2024 with a lot of these guys that you see on the field right now playing a huge part.
I like that decision by Schmutz, right? Like almost daring them to throw over and get them in a rundown so you can score the run. Friars not biting, though, so they'll give up that one. I guess if there was an official scorer here, they would say defensive indifference for that one. So 2nd and 3rd. Good job by Claire to paint the outside corner there.
That was a great pitch. And, yeah, no, I like what you said earlier, though. Schmutz with a little hesitation. But now you got 2 runners in scoring position for the Cougars here in the top of the 6th.
And that one up high. This is a St. Anthony's team that has buttered its bread with its pitching this season. They've led the league in ERA, and that one is low for a ball. They've had great team defense, but they have struggled, and it's been a collective struggle. Even go back to Vacariello, the starting pitcher, with some control. Here's the 3-1. That's up high for a ball. So bases are loaded.
Number 17.
Again.
CJ Everett.
And it's for CJ Everett.
I think he had the bases loaded last time as well when Everett was up. He ended up grounding out to 3rd, but we've talked about this hot streak that he's on. Definitely someone that you would want in this situation. And Everett also had a hit earlier in this game.
By my count, that was the 8th walk by Friars pitchers in this game. So Everett, in that situation you mentioned, swung at the first pitch, and there was a fielder's choice ground out to 3rd. This time he lays off on the first one. Takes it for a ball.
Yeah, and you got to think Everett will, kind of, take some pitches when they can, especially when you see what's been happening these past couple innings with the walks.
Big spot for a big hitter. And Everett was hit by that pitch. So a run will score, and the Cougars extend their lead to 5-3.
Yeah, Cougar faithful like that one. And they get a nice run once again to get that lead back up to 2.
I don't know if they liked it.
Well, they like the lead.
They like
the lead
the
to
guy
get
who
it,
scored.
in one. They like that. I don't think they like, their super sophomore getting hit with a pitch. I don't think anyone likes that.
Malone grounds it to second. Tavares makes the throw to Alfano for the out. But the Cougars add an insurance run as they lead 5-3 heading into the bottom of the 6th right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
This is Doc Gooden, and you're watching Varsity Media.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
Well, we are back at Farmingdale State College as Billy Joel plays for the crowd here, as Brady Lightman back on the hill. And in the break, Jared, we were saying, now you're at the point you need to have Lightman be efficient down the stretch. You would love for him to finish this game. Because, again, you've got to play tomorrow. You have another elimination game. You need arms.
Yeah, absolutely. And, tomorrow, say St. John's does close this one out, right? You got St. Dom's tomorrow. And, that's no easy task whatsoever. And then, of course, Kellenberg after that. Then the championship series goes on. And, of course, St. John's, we talked about their pitching situation. It is good. But, they lost those 2 guys earlier in the season, which of course hurt. Cougars have responded, but to get one guy to have a complete game definitely help in their gauntlet type of situation, especially since they had to take care of business against Holy Trinity not too long ago.
So it's Jackson Vacariello to the plate for the Friars. That one behind him. This one high in the air, making a diving catch in center field was Christman.
Man, we talked about the athleticism that Christman possesses, and this time he makes it from the outfield. Let's take another look at this. Christman with a diving play, able to hold that in.
And that was the last batter for Lightman. Gets a huge ovation from the crowd and his bullpen. And apparently, based on the music, Mariano Rivera is coming out of the bullpen for the Cougars. In fact, it is Jaden Nappy, the junior. Another one of those guys, right, was like the day 3 starter this year. But now in the postseason, he's coming out of the bullpen. The junior, 3-1 on the season, a 3.76 ERA, a 1.42 whip, 20 strikeouts, 14 walks. Nappy would love, come a week from now, to be on the mound at Hofstra University, which is home of the championship series. And we will have those games for you as well on the Varsity Media Sports Network. You could spend your Memorial Day with us for a championship doubleheader. If there's a game 3 that is needed, that will be the next day. Now, the thing about Nappy, which is certainly what the Cougars are hoping here, like, he was that third starter, but you play those 2-game series. So he was the weekend starter against the city Catholic school teams. So the Long Island teams haven't seen him this year.
Yeah, and, that's obviously great to have. These teams face each other in the regular season. We were talking a little bit about, Leichman earlier, how he had to go against, the other team's aces. So, a lot of these lineups have seen him. But now you go to a guy like Nappy who's, primarily went against the city teams. So really a new look for St. Anthony's batters where they're in the bottom of the 6th here going against a guy they haven't seen.
First pitch is a ball to Brady Demetrio. Demetrio 0 for 2. Takes that for a cold strike. And now, not only do you feel that wind, Jared, you could hear it. It is definitely picked up here.
Yeah, I was going to say it's coming, but it's here. It is here, and it's definitely could play a factor, I should say.
I went up high for a ball, and you can see there from that vantage point, some of the crowd there, right, all bundled up, blankets. Up high for a ball, 3-1. Nappy has pitched in 26 innings, and Demetrio advances via the walk.
Shortstop number 2, Christian Uno.
We'll have a pinch hitter
Pinch hitting for St.
as
Anthony's, number
the
17,
Friars
Luke Checkmine.
bring Luke Checkmayan in. We saw earlier he was the courtesy runner who stole second when Jackson Vacariello, the catcher, reached. And he's a tough out, right? Batting .333 on the season. He's a guy who can bunt, run, has good plate discipline. And you can see with his size, right, that's a tough strike zone to deal with.
Yeah, it's certainly not easy. And, one thing when, you talk about, Luke Checkmayan is the energy that he brings. Really, really can, uplift his team in certain situations. And, St. Anthony's, of course, has him next year. And he already made an impact earlier, like you mentioned, when it comes to running the bases.
And when Carlo heads off to Cortland, Checkmayan likely will be that starting center fielder next year. Here's the 1-1. That is low.
Yeah, it's a luxury St. Anthony's has, sometimes with that stuff, right? You lose a great guy like Carlo, but, Luke Checkmayan right behind him, a guy who, has already, produced.
That one fouled down the left field side. Here is Nappy's 2-2. Popped up right behind us. I don't know if Tony DeMasso has a play on that or not.
I felt like he catched the first one, but now, since it's at night, I'm not sure if he's going to catch the second one. Maybe it's getting a little bit late for him.
A little colder out. He's been out there bringing all these great moving images for a couple hours now.
Yeah.
Maybe he's a little bit hungry. 2-2 fouled off again. Good battle by Checkmayan. He's described by his head coach as a little spark plug, and that's exactly what you want here, or you need, if you are St. Anthony's. That's high for a ball, 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that spark plug, and there's no, and that's definitely part of the reason why they bring him on here. Season on the line, you go to someone who you know is reliable.
He gets one up in the air, but that will be foul down the right field line. And the battle continues. That becomes set. And that one, again, fouled off.
And what a battle we've had here. And, I think we've said it about a couple batters now, but especially, Luke Checkmai in first at bat, absolutely going to war.
Throw back to first. Demetrio back safely. Cougars lead by 2 in the bottom of the 6th. Another throw back. And another ball fouled off. I don't know the actual percentages, Jared, but I feel like, advantage goes to the hitter the longer these battles continue.
And Dylan, you might be right. I lost count how many pitchers were actually in that at-bat, but definitely really tough to keep focus and, continuously finding the zone. Luke Checkmine, he fouled off, I think, at least 2 or 3 of those to, keep it going. And now he'll walk and has his offense in good position.
And they'll have an intentional walk here. Excuse me, a mound visit, so there'll be a visit over at third as well. Both teams with visits, and that will be it for Nappy. So we'll have another pitching change, and we'll have that for you when we come back here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
This is Doc Gooden, and you're watching Varsity Media.
Are you a local business looking for new and creative ways to promote your company? Varsity Media offers affordable rates that can get your message across to a demographic of 18 to 54 years of age. Our follower base across social media is 75,000 strong, and our viewership numbers per game are in the thousands. Don't blow your advertising budget on old staples like TV and radio media. Reach out to Varsity Media to get the best bang for your buck.
Back here at Farmingdale State College, Michael Garcia on the hill. And he's a freshman who has now pitching in his 3rd playoff game. He picked up a save against Holy Trinity. Dalton says he's a guy not scared of any opportunity. So he's ready for this one.
Dylan, it's win or go home. You're going against the defending champs. You have a lead here in the bottom of the 6th. And Coach Dalton decides to turn to the freshman. And, that should say a lot in itself. But, he's pitched in these big games already. It's crazy to say, he's got, that type of playoff experience just as a freshman, but he does. And now he's in the game looking to, close out this inning for the Cougars.
And now batting. For St. Anthony's,
So some defensive changes, obviously, right, when you move the second baseman to the hill. Everett moves from third to second, and Joseph Rivera moves to third base. And now here comes Carlo.
Yeah, and the freshman Garcia not only, comes into the game at such a pivotal moment, it's also going against a daunting part of the lineup when you look at how good, Carlo and Alfano have been, especially followed up with Mazzola.
Yeah, if there's a rally left here for St. Anthony's, it's got to be now.
Without a doubt.
Garcia's first pitch down low. Carlo doubled in the third and scored. He's 1 for 3 tonight. That one up high.
And even if, if Garcia isn't, completely finding the zone, great job not letting that ball get away. We've seen, runners advance on wild pitches and pass balls.
But that one up high as well. Carlo represents the potential go-ahead run here for the Friars. Runners at first and second. 1 out, 3-0 count. And that one bounces. Ball 4, bases loaded.
And Dylan, bases loaded, and the West Virginia commit, CJ Alfano, up to bat. And oh man, playoff baseball right here at its finest.
Alfano has walked twice. He has scored twice. But what an opportunity for the junior. We said it earlier, after the commitment, spent a lot of the season just feeling that pressure, that a lot of it even just self-inflicted, right? Like, I've got to be that guy. Cold strike there, and part of trying to help relieve that pressure was move him a little bit lower in the lineup. But as of late, he's come up big, especially these last couple of weeks. So back up in the 2-hole, and what a big spot he has here. Alfano was the playoff MVP a year ago, helping the Friars win their first league championship in 24 years. And now he's trying to make sure that this season continues past tonight. Here's the 2-1. Misses, and now the count is 3-1. It's a lonely spot right now for Michael Garcia up on that hill.
Got some quick words there.
He's been good in limited action. 7 2/3 innings, 1-1 on the season, 2.73 ERA. Here's the 3-1. Ball 4.
That's walk number 3 for Alfano.
It is.
Man, walk number 3, already has 2 runs scored. Gotta love the patience there. And yeah, I mean, Alfano kind of thinking, hey, I have to be the guy. He decided, he saw the pitch and realized, hey, I don't have to make a huge play. I can take the walk. Run comes in. St. Anthony's only down by 1.
So the tying run at third, as it's the 3-batter, Mazzola. He has reached safely all 3 times. Single to left, walked in the 3rd and the 5th. Bases loaded with 1 out. And that a little check swing goes back to the plate. That's in play. Goes to first. That's a double play. Look at this now. Coming home safe. So I think here the situation is, and if we can get a replay on this, I don't know if he stepped at home.
Wow. And the St. John's bench, I mean, the celebration was on. People were already off the field, but here it is. Here's the replay.
He stepped on it there, yeah.
His foot was on the plate and throw to first. I mean, umps will talk, and like you mentioned earlier, there's no replay. They're just going to have to speak, but his foot was on the bag.
And I like the decision there by St. John Baptist. Let's just get our guys off the field.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you don't want anything silly said, especially to the umps right now.
I mean, this should be an inning-ending, rally-ending double play. Now both managers, another vantage point here. Right there, stepped on it. He even took an extra step to make sure that he did.
That was clear right there.
And it looks like the one umpire is telling the Cougars to come back on the field. Wow. And there's still a ton of confusion here.
Yeah, and the St. John's coaching staff.
Well, I mean, they should be. This is
Rightfully
their
so.
season.
I mean, rightfully so. And
and here's
wish they were
where
able to
I'm
see this,
confused.
yeah.
If you're the home plate umpire, you said that was in play. You don't see the foot there. You need to check the first base umpire.
You're right there.
Yes,
You're literally right there. I mean, wow. This is interesting, and this is going to be a play that's going to be talked about. I mean, obviously, right? Tying run. This is crazy.
Now it's not on the scoreboard, but I think it will be. There's a lot of confusion here. There's a runner at third and 2 outs.
Alex Mono at the plate.
And we are tied at 5.
So they're counting it.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're correcting it. It's going to be 6-5 for St. Anthony's. But what I don't understand is then wouldn't there be a runner?
Because the bases were loaded, right? So
Well, and we're going to have an ejection here. And
yeah, I mean.
But so, like, why wouldn't there be a runner at first then? Like, if you're saying he was out at home and out at first, unless you're saying it was just an out at first.
So I think they're saying it was just an out at first, right? And then I guess 2 guys came around then.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because
so that's what the play is.
Across the field. So it's a 2-run swing. Wow, man.
So it was swing. A fielder's choice 2-3. The runner that came to the plate initially that we thought should have been out to end the inning scored, and then the second runner came in.
Oh my goodness!
During all the confusion. And I mean, it's heated here at Farmingdale State. Strike 1 to Bono.
I mean, I'm going to say I don't think I've seen anything like this.
Yeah, I was.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like this.
I've got a couple more years on you as well.
I was going to say, yeah.
I haven't.
I got to go to you with this. Yeah.
No. 1-2 outside. I mean, wild drama here.
Yeah.
In the bottom of the 6th. Ultimately, look, we're playing on at St. Anthony's with a 1-run lead now. What appeared to be an inning-ending double play ended up with 1 run scored, actually 2 runs scored on the 2-3 putout. And this is a fly ball to left. Schmutz is there to make the catch and record the final out.
Wow.
But the Friars, in controversial fashion, have taken a 6-5 lead into the top of the 7th inning. We will show it to you one more time. His right foot steps at home, throws the first. It's a play that should have been an inning-ending double play. And instead, the Friars plate 2, and they're 3 outs away from advancing. Top of the 7th when we return to the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
Batting for the Cougars, the catcher number 23, John Acatino.
Back here at Farmingdale State College, we head to the top of the 7th. And listen, right now it's just about St. John the Baptist. They've got to keep their composure here, and they need to rally. They're down 1. Their season is on the line. And the first pitch to the leadoff batter, Afanita, is a ball. Second pitch high in the air. Backing up a step was Demetrio in left, and he makes the catch. One away.
They went out down, and, you know, for St. John's, exactly what you said in the sense of, man, I mean, you got to find a way to respond. I mean, in just a few seconds, you went from, 3 outs away of, closing out this game to now you're, down to 2 outs left in your season potentially. But, hey, man, still some time. Cahill.
And that's a 4-3 put out. And now St. Anthony's is 1 out away from dramatically coming back
Now batting,
and keeping their season alive.
Brady Lightman.
And lo and behold, it is Lightman trying to save the Cougars season. Ball 1. Ball 2 from Claire. Winner advances to take on St. Dominic's. And the winner of that game will face Kellenberg. And the winner of that game will reach the championship series.
Yeah. Memorial Day special, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. But the drama has already began here at Farmingdale State College, man.
And now the Cougars down to their final strike. Two-two, good battle there by Lightman.
Yeah, he fights that one off there, man.
That pitch up high. Full count. And Lightman keeps the season going. A single up the middle.
Number 2.
Cougars still alive.
Elliott.
And Lightman, the senior, man, he was fighting on the mound all game long. Had a lot of good moments. Gets a crucial hit there, and now you're back to the top of the lineup. And Keegan McElliott, one of the studs on this team, up to bat.
Riley Batts will come in to run for Lightman. That pitch up high. Two and 0. Three and 0.
Yeah, good start there for McElliott, clearly. And for St. John's, I mean, there's 2 outs, get a runner on, now you're at the top of the order.
And there's a strike from Claire. 3-1. That is high, but foul.
Dylan, I almost saw the St. John's bench absolutely erupt from the dugout, man. But just foul. Well hit ball there from McElliott.
Full count. So for the second time this inning, Cougars are one strike away from elimination. Check swing. McElliott, the junior, the Binghamton commit. Wants to keep this Cougar season alive. And that one foul down the third base line, just out of play.
You know, 2 outs, game on the line. It only makes sense to have a full count, an absolute war. It's just been the theme this
I
entire
feel like we should
way.
have a full moon. Is there a full moon tonight?
I feel like we should have it for this one.
Holy smoke.
Yeah.
So potential tying run at first. Here comes a 3-2 count. Inside for a ball. Claire jumped off the mound thinking he had a called strike 3.
And he really thought it. And so did the Friar faithful. With St. John's staying alive after a quick 2 outs. Cougars get 2 on. And now Lucas Chrisman up to bat.
Now the potential tying run at second base. As you said, it's Chrisman at the plate. Curveball in there for a strike. Ball 1. And the pitch hits Chrisman, which puts the tying run 90 feet from home plate.
Yep. And bases are loaded. And man, I mean, I think I've said it a few times just because he's been in a couple golden spots, but you gotta love who's up to bat if you're a St. John's fan right now.
It's the senior Sacred Heart commit. We had him as one of our players to watch.
We did.
Before the start of this one.
Yeah, now he's really a player to watch right now. Man.
I don't know if it's too early to say this, but if there are like baseball gods, maybe they're saying something about this situation.
Yeah,
I'll just say that.
After seeing, what transpired, who knows, right? Because what a sequence here late in this one. Pretty insane.
Now, if you are St. Anthony's, right, still, the job is very simple for Claire. Just worry about what's in front of you, right? And out in any way ends the game.
Yeah, absolutely. All 4 bases available for it.
Here's the 1-0. Low in the dirt. 2-0.
And you gotta say, man, Vacariello able to keep that ball in front of him. Huge for the Friars.
And that is a called strike. Bases loaded for the Cougars. They trail by 1 with 1 out remaining in this elimination game. They twice were 1 strike away from this one ending, and they have rallied. And this one outside, 3-1. So now it's kind of like the Bronx Tale, right? When you lock the door of the bar and say, now you just can't leave.
Yeah.
You cannot do anything here but throw a strike.
Sonny locked the door, 3-1 count. Here we go.
Ball 4, game tied.
Now batting, the second baseman, pitcher number 26, Michael Garcia.
Wow, unreal. Now you get the freshman up to bat.
Now the go-ahead run is at third base. And Parcelano will take the ball from Claire. We will have another pitching change. We'll have that for you when we return on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. Parents, your support means everything to your athletes and to us at Varsity Media. To help us continue bringing you the best YouTube coverage of high school sports on Long Island, we invite business owners to consider a sponsorship on our broadcasts. If you own a business, consider a sponsorship for your athlete's team. It's a great way to show support, gain visibility, and keep the coverage going strong. Join us in making a difference. Contact Varsity Media today to learn more about broadcast sponsorship opportunities by emailing ben@varsitymedia.net.
We welcome you back to Farmingdale State College. And it's Justin Zizza on the mound for the Friars.
Your attention, please.
And what has suddenly become a new game.
Number 19, Justin Zizza.
Zizza on the season. You see the numbers there. It's a very small sample size, mind you. It's 2 innings pitched. He didn't pitch a lot as a junior, didn't really have his command. But now his command is there. He's able to throw strikes. Kind of has like a funky delivery. Throws like 80 to 82. But he's got a fastball that he can pound and it moves.
And what a situation to get put in, especially with such a small sample size throughout the regular season. But hey, here we go.
And it is Michael Garcia, the freshman, at the plate, who takes ball 1. That one nearly hit Garcia.
That was really close.
Two and 0 count. 3-0. We're tied at 6th in the top of the 7th. Another ball, and the Cougars are back in front. And there it is. St. John the Baptist. From down to their last strike twice, they're back in front 7-6.
Just like that, Dylan. I mean, unbelievable what has gone on here in Farmingdale. And St. John the Baptist, able to load up the bases and, you know, get 2 runs here. Huge for the Cougars. After so much controversy, too, man.
I would say, like, this is one of those, like, Hollywood script situations, but the problem is no one would sign off on it because it's just not believable.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, well, that obviously wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And here we are. I mean,
that's a good story, but come on, really?
It's like, yeah, it's like this movie's so unrealistic, like, but hey, I mean, you gotta love baseball, and, you know, for these reasons. Sometimes, depending on. You know,
I think who's loving it most is St. Dom's right now.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. I mean, St. Dom's is probably just like, you know, all at home watching. Like, all right, who do we got? Who do we got? And it's pretty unreal.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Now pitching for the St. Anthony's Friars, number 28, Phil Mazzola.
So Phil Mazzola in for St. Anthony's. Looking to try to get this rally ended. I would have to check the stats to see if Mazzola has even pitched this year. I suspect he must have. He's in the mix here. But like the pitchers before him, he throws ball 1. This is grounded to short. The flip is to second for the force. And the top of the 7th ends, but not before St. John the Baptist rallies to take a 7-6 lead. And now it's the Friars looking to try to come back. You don't want to miss the end of this one. It's coming up on the Varsity Media Sports Network.
You're watching the Varsity Media Sports Network, the home for New York high school sports. When it comes to live streaming, Varsity Media does it all. Athletic events, concerts, musicals, graduations, even weddings. Trust Varsity Media when it comes to your live stream event. Contact us today to learn more about Varsity Media's live streaming services at 516-403-2050 or email ben@varsitymedia.net.
Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for upcoming schedules and content, and on social media at Varsity Media.
And we are back here at Farmingdale State College. It is Dylan Butler and Jared Veluzzi here with you as we enter the bottom of the 7th inning. And St. John the Baptist, they go back in front. And now the Friars are 3 outs away from their potential elimination. Just unbelievable scenes here. And we said, like, if you're Doms, you're loving this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Some of their guys are here watching. They probably would love this game to continue for them to utilize every pitcher they have.
Oh, yeah. They're hoping that, St. Anthony's gets a run here, goes into extras and everything. But, I mean, just the sequence of events, man, it has just been absolutely crazy. St. John's able to get 2 runs in the top of the 7th.
So it's Adrian Tavares at the plate. Ball 1. Tavares, one of 7 returning starters for St. Anthony's, who won a championship last spring. Last spring, Michael Garcia was in 8th grade. Here's the 1-1. Swung on, driven down the line and left. That's a fair ball. Rounding first, heading to second is Tavares with a lead-off double.
Third baseman, number 7.
Man, what a start for the Friars. Honestly, with how this game has been going, I'm not surprised. Lead-off double,
Well,
they'll take it.
There's nothing you could say that would happen here. Like, if a plane lands on the field right now, you can't say that you're surprised.
It's like, yeah, that makes sense for 10.
Like, if a helicopter came and took the ball away, you'd be like, oh, of course. It's this crazy game we have here. So it's now Mike Carr. Garcia checks back to second. Tavares scampers back. Mikey Carr, the junior. And that is a strike. One and one.
Man, oh, man.
Fastball. Strike 2.
Here we go. Good pitch there on the outside. Finding the zone has been, so key in this game with, the amount of walks that each team has encountered in this one.
This one fouled off. First base side. And again, Garcia checks back. Some of the St. Anthony's faithful stomping their feet. I think as much to rally as to stay warm at this point.
Yeah, I think it's both. I think they're trying to get, move a little bit. But I also think the nerves, man, really going through all the Friar faithful right now. And honestly, even all the St. John's fans, this game and how it's been, how could the nerves not be running, through their systems?
And Carr calls time.
Man.
As Garcia was. Honestly, that's one where, you've got to just throw the ball anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You can get yourself hurt more by pulling up on a potential throw. 1-2. That's grounded back to Garcia. He'll throw to first. The runner, though, will advance. So as good as a sacrifice there.
Yeah.
It will go 1-3.
And you get the guy to third. That's big.
And now you've got a couple chances here to score that run if you are St. Anthony's. And Jackson Vacariello to the plate. He was part of that championship team a year ago, but didn't really play much. Infield in for the Cougars. Curveball in for a strike. But has worked himself into a pivotal role here for this year's Friars. His brother Jacob was the starting pitcher for St. Anthony's, what feels like eons ago at this point.
Honestly. 7 p.m. start time.
Like the sun was out, it was warm. Here's the 1-1. Oh, nice. Fastball called for a strike.
That was big time.
Here's the 1-2. Curveball just fouled off. Dalton says of Garcia, there is not a situation he feels nervous about.
No, and, you know, quite the compliment to have as a freshman. You know, and we've seen his confidence at the plate when it came to batting earlier. But, man, really on display as a pitcher. I mean, win or go home type of situation.
1-2. Curveball! Strike 3. What a spot by Garcia.
And how about it? The movement on that gets him swinging big time.
And here comes Brady Demetrio.
Brady Demetrio, number 5.
The senior hoping this is not his last high school at bat. That ball gets away, runner comes in, but he's going to be out at the plate. And St. John the Baptist wins. Unbelievable. What a moment for St. John the Baptist. Look at it again. Ball in the dirt. Then the tag up high. Ball game. And St. John the Baptist, they survive and they advanced. And it is the freshman pitcher to the sophomore catcher. And Afanita makes the tag for the final out.
Unbelievable, man. I mean, in that situation, listen, we're talking about the youth of St. John the Baptist. They were counting on a freshman on the mound, sophomore catcher, able to get it done. And after all that happened here this evening, I mean, it looked like St. Anthony's was going to get away with a win, especially, I mean, on that, you know, missed call. It's pretty crazy. Still processing everything that happened here today, Dylan, but St. John the Baptist will escape and get the win. 2 runs in the top of the 7th. Fighting adversity, Cougars move on.
And if you are a St. John the Baptist fan, you believe in the baseball gods right about now.
Yeah, what you said earlier, I mean, it's coming to fruition.
Unbelievable stuff here from Farmingdale State College. And we'll put a bow on it now as, again, the Cougars advance to take on St. Dom's tomorrow. We want to thank our entire Varsity Media crew, our executive producer, Ben Turchin, our technical director, Becca Kazaks, for Tony DeMasso, Mike Verdi, bringing you all those moving images. For Jared Veluzzi, Dylan Butler, thanking you for joining us from Farmingdale State College. We look forward to seeing you next time right here on the Varsity Media Sports Network.